Oh, okay. We're starting someplace in this world. I
Absolutely.
don't know where.
Well, we
Oh
are
my
here,
God.
and that is important right now.
Yep.
We are here, and we are, um, Amar and Zare, taking the journey together.
Mm-hmm.
And we're glad that you're here with us once again. He is also engineering today and doing all these other things. And so I will be sort of the talking head right now
And
for a little
I'll
while.
be mostly looking up,
Yeah.
up at another screen, trying to get things
Yes,
moving.
but that's okay. We
Yes,
are we are
yes.
in this together, and so we're gonna make this
Put
work.
on music in the background this
There
time.
you go. Sounds good. So
I don't know that.
what I'm
Oh, here.
today, what I'm gonna do is start off with our vision statement. I'm gonna go on and do that while you're finishing up the
Oh,
paperwork, as they
sure.
say.
Oh, there it is.
Yes, there it
All right,
is.
we got the music in the background. Good,
Yes.
good. Go right ahead.
Okay, so
I
I'm
feel
gonna
better now.
and well, you should. Yeah.
Yeah, help me out.
Yes.
Go
So
ahead.
um I'm going to read our I like to call it our belief system.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to relate. It doesn't matter what your mother says, your father says, your children, or even what Jesus says. We are going to relate. At taking the journey together, we believe in relating in a balanced manner. Balanced relationships are the ones that are entered into as friends first and lovers second, but
Mm-hmm.
has both aspects in each partner. And so, with that said, and with that understanding, that we really believe that the basis or the very foundation of any healthy, thriving relationship starts with or is built upon friendship. And and that's one of the things that we need to look at some other point in time
Mm-hmm.
is what it takes to build a friendship when you're getting to know someone, because
Okay.
a lot of people don't know it. They'll meet someone, they say they're your friends, but you really don't know what a friend is,
Mm-hmm.
and or how to treat a friend.
Oh,
Or
they don't really give a f about having a friend, or if you want to be a friend with them too,
yes, and
which is really a misnomer because everybody does care about something,
mhm,
but you don't want to care so far and so much that you in turn become uncareable.
right,
Because one thing's for sure, if everybody in the world didn't care, we would all be dead by now.
exactly.
But since we're not, somebody's cares.
Somebody's caring.
Yeah.
Yes, and so now let's think about looking deeper into that
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in the future, because we talk about people being friends, but a lot of us have trouble understanding what it is to be a friend,
Yes.
and how to be friendly to someone, and especially how to carry that over in a long-term relationship and continue with it, especially because a lot of us don't believe that friendship has anything to do with the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so but that's not our topic today. Our
Yeah.
topic today is closeness. This is the fourth time that we have been talking about closeness, and we might bring it to a close today. Uh, and so, with that said, um, we'll take a look at some of the things that we started off with. Just a real quick run through as we get to the point today, um, where we are going to. That's okay. Where we are going to really bring things home and show you what it is that you can do. And one of the things that we started off with is that in order for a relationship to truly thrive, we must have intimacy,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one of the cornerstones, along with friendship. And I would say it's a cornerstone that is built upon friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And we also talked about how a way to remember intimacy is into me.
Exactly.
Can the other
Exactly.
person say that you are into me?
But don't forget to tell everybody to share. Before we start going, you want to make sure you share with your friends, Sharon. I mean, sharing with your friends, share with your
Lovers
lovers,
or
Focus.
co-workers,
And
your
even with your
associates,
enemies,
your
mom,
enemies.
dad, people you know, share this information. Be friendly.
Yes.
Way you can be friendly, show yourself as being friendly, is sharing this information. I know, I was looking and always getting information coming in from Alexa, coming in from Facebook, coming in from my Alpha. What is it called?
Algorithm.
Algorithms about relationships and how divorces and separations and people really don't really want to relate to one another, or if they
Hmm.
do, it's from the standpoint that it all is about me first and then wanting about you. Basically coming across as for, we really don't give a darn, or if we do, we want to play that we give a darn from, of being very spiritual, or being very like goddess or gods, but yet we do nothing really to produce any divineness. Like in
Right.
this case, you would think closeness would be a divine property, a divine integrity, a
Hmm.
divine principle that people would go by if they were like being kings or queens, or gods or goddesses that
Right.
they
Right.
want to proclaim. But yet, at the root of it, most of the time, it's just being self centered, just
Yes.
all about them. Because the idea of being closeness really goes like this: I want you to be close to
To
me.
me.
I'm not
Hmm.
about really trying to be close to you, because
Yes.
basically, I know that it is really all about me anyway. And since it's all about me anyway, I don't really get the need to know you.
Yes.
Now, how are you going to be in a relationship
You
if
can.
that's the kind of mindset or
Hmm.
self-centeredness or narcissism that you have, and then you got it in such a way where you really don't give a darn about the other person anyway,
Right.
but you want them to really give more of a darn or give more of
Hmm.
a fuck about you. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. That's just crazy.
Yes.
That
And
imbalanceness is crazy, but
right.
it happens.
And the other attitude which goes along that same line is, I know that I am close to you,
Hmm.
but you're not being close enough to me.
Yes.
And that's also self-centered, because you're saying that you don't need any changing or any guidance,
Hmm.
because you are the end all be all of what is going right in that
In that
relationship,
relation,
and it's
exactly,
you. It's
exactly.
what you're doing.
All right.
Hello, Miss Scott. How are
Yes,
you?
good, good. Pretty smile on it. Pretty smile. Good to see
Yes.
you here. Who else do we have tonight? And we have, can you pronounce that? I'm watching.
uh
Who?
Faisal.
Aso. I don't know what particular country you're
Asio.
from, but let us know where you're from. Right now, where you're at. Right now, you need to give us exact position. We don't need a satellite position,
Just in
latitude or
general.
longitude. Just in general, which city are you in? What state are you in? Go ahead and pop it up there so we can know who we're reaching out to. We got quite a few people who are watching. Got a couple of likes. We'd like to get a little bit more. So we just like to find out, where in the world are you in this universe?
Yes.
Right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, and a few things that can strengthen the closeness and the intimacy in a relationship
Mm-hmm.
is to pay attention to the little things. Don't blow them off as being simple and unconcerned and unimportant. The little things you do for somebody goes a long way, and that those are the things that are remembered the most.
Exactly. We talked about how little things can be. Sponsoring this platform. That's right. Sponsoring this
That
platform
was a
is a
great
good thing to
segue.
do. Look at right below here, coming up. Oh, go that way. I
Cash
think I
App
can. I think I
at
go with it. Oh, I can't. It
dollar
blocked.
signs, all
Cash
things
App.
relevant.
Exactly. Hey, we'll take anything we can. We know we're giving out valuable information. We know we're giving you information that is worth it waiting to go. If not, old preacher said you can put it in your deep freezer, pull it out another time.
Yes.
But hey, keep us from rolling, to keep us to do this thing, and keep the head guy that's running this whole thing keep on saying to me, put so much money out of his pocket. But anyway, we want to make sure that you also put your money where your mouth is. If you think this is valuable, if you think this is something that's touching you, if you think this is something that's really helping you out, please go ahead and give. We need you to do that.
Yes, because that's what keeps these shows on. This is a true labor of love, but
Yes,
even labor of loves come with a price tag.
exactly.
So, help the station out to keep the station doing what it's doing.
Exactly. And this is the site where you are going to, or you can go to. Of course, you can also see us on, I think YouTube is another place you can see us.
Our
I
Black
think, I know
Media
for sure.
YouTube.
Yeah, I think so. And it might be on,
Yes.
what's the other one we might be on?
Roku.
Roku, I think. We might be having some technical problems on this too, and I'm not for sure. I'll have to talk to the technical person later on. But if you can see us here, that's a good thing too, right?
That
I think
is
so.
true.
All right, we have someone, Mr. Aslam, Artful Islam. All right. You see here, Muscle is watching too. Hey,
Mhm.
again, hey, let us know where you're from. Let us know what city you're in. Let us know what country you're in. If you're on another planet, let us know where you're at. No, we're just joking.
And when we can come visit.
Uh, no, but it's close. Just to get close to you, girl.
Oh,
Just for 1 minute. Just one for hour, baby. But that's only right now. Okay, I'll keep my day job.
okay. Well, that's okay. You can sing to me anytime.
Anytime. All right.
Anytime.
Yes.
Yes.
That was a song that came to my mind that was done by Lionel Richie.
Yes.
He was with the Commodores back in our days
Yes.
and sung songs like that. I don't know if he would sing songs like that today.
I don't either. There's got to be somebody that's doing it. They just don't get the airtime that they deserve.
Well, we can always go back to those songs and play them again
Absolutely.
as many times as you want to.
Yes.
I know we can. Closeness,
Definitely.
eye contact. We're doing that.
Yes. Definitely.
One of the things we talked about before.
Yes.
Last one was physical touch,
I've been doing
holding
that
hands,
too.
right? Doing things like that,
Yes.
and hugs. Yes. All those things that
See,
have to
we
do with
also
physical touch.
demonstrate too.
Exactly.
Yes.
All those things have to do with physical touch that are important
Yes.
in that relationship. That skin to skin
Skin
is
contact.
important because it allows the energy to make that contact
Mhm.
and flow back and
through.
forth.
Yes.
Very important in a balanced, healthy, thriving relationship. It is, and that's what we were talking about, and that's what we talk about:
Yes.
healthy, balanced
Mhm.
relationship. We're mutual consent, not just the idea of submitting to one another, or one submitting, the other not, because submitting is usually about a one-way kind of relationship.
Mhm.
No, we're talking about mutual what?
Uh,
Co-
consent.
co-
I'm sorry, my mind
Are
is
you
traveling
mutually
again.
with me at this
I
time?
am definitely mutual with you at this time. But
Mutual what?
my mind traveled a minute.
I know.
Mutual consent.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. And mutual intent too. How's
Yeah,
that? Consent
that's true.
and intent.
Yes.
I have the intent to mutually want to connect with you and vice versa.
Right.
If one person only has the intent to connect with you, another person doesn't, then there's no mutual in it. And
no.
many times it defaults to what we say many times is submission. Well, one person is doing that out of being
Mhm.
coerced or being forced,
Yes.
or in this particular case,
Feeling like they have
it's
no
a one
out.
way
Yeah.
obligation.
Yes.
And the other person is like, I'm not doing it in return at all.
Right.
So, I mean,
Right.
what kind of, really? So,
Yes.
we're talking about mostly in a thriving, healthy relationship. We're talking about mutual
Right.
intent and mutual
Consent.
Consent. That's what
Mhm.
we're talking
Yes.
about. So, closeness is all about that mutual connection.
Right.
Anyway, I'm
and
sorry.
part. Oh no, you're good. And part of that closeness and that mutual commitment
Mm-hmm.
is real conversation, talking to each other about something other than the problem with the kids and the
Yes.
finances and the mortgage and
David Banner.
the dredges of what happened at work.
Good to see you, Mr. David Banner. Good to see
Glad
you're
to
back again, too. We know
Yes.
another David Banner who's a very good speaker, also very good grassroots leader, who talks about, concerns and problems in the Black community. I don't know if that's the same David Banner, but I think that's his name, but got a lot of respect for him. He likes to very much keep it real, honest, and
Mhm.
transparent when it comes to
Yeah.
concerns and problems in the Afro-American community, too, from that end. Yeah, he does.
Oh,
So I'm
okay.
sorry I stopped you
No,
there.
that's okay, because it's good to be able to acknowledge the people who are watching, especially the regulars, the ones that are with us multiple times. We appreciate you coming on and appreciate you letting us know that you're there, and you can also feel free to chime in if there's something that you want to
Yeah, any
add or you
questions?
would like us to comment on.
There's someone else.
Yes, and this is, I would like to
We
say,
have a lot of foreign folks who are watching the show. Lisa will
Yes.
pop it up saying something. For Sal,
Mabob.
Mabob, I think it is. A
Maybe
lot
I'm
of
not
folks
sure,
who are forward watching our show.
but we're glad you're here.
Yeah, I'd love to
Let's.
know where
They're gonna.
our expanding network is actually reaching out to as
Yes.
part of the world and getting these good folks coming in and listening at the same time, leaving some
Mm-hmm.
comments. I'd love to be able to know
Yes.
that. So we were going to move on
Definitely.
and get into, like we're doing right now, authentic, real conversations.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're doing, and that's what balanced, healthy relationships should have. Authentic
Yes.
conversations,
Yes.
not something you just put on airs and pretend. From
Absolutely.
that end, your conversations of authentic is not going to be about trying to shout, cuss somebody out, um,
Name
um, um,
calling.
at a regular. It
Right.
happens sometimes in a
Exactly.
relationship because life is not about being perfect. If it was, what a boringness it would be. And plus, it'd be literally impossible.
Mm-hmm.
But we're definitely talking about, in this case, your authentic. Being authentic is all about showing authentic love, authentic
Yes.
care, authentic respect, authentic likeness for your friend that you're connected to in a relationship. And if you don't have that authenticity in you in connection to that relationship, you need to work on that. You need to make that
Absolutely.
happen, which is what taking the journey is all about. Trying to level you up to that level so
Mm-hmm.
that you can feel that open in a relationship, to have that mutual respect
Yes.
and have that ability to be able to speak how you are, how you feel about that person, and vice
Mm-hmm.
versa, without hiding in that matter.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's very important. Definitely very important. So there are 5 ways to build a spiritual connection with your partner, and the first one starts with you.
Ah, wow. The first thing that should start with in a
In building
spiritual
closeness, spiritual
relationship,
closeness.
you might as well say a thriving, balanced, healthy relationship. You might as well say it's really a spiritual relationship.
Exactly.
Right? If you're taking care of yourself healthily, if you at the same time are trying to stay balanced in life, your
Mm-hmm.
emotions,
Yes.
okay, your intellectualness
Mm-hmm.
about yourself, your personality, and all that stuff. If you're trying to keep that balance in your life, I would say you definitely are moving in the realm of spirituality. Would you not think?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I
I
would
would
have to
definitely say
agree with that one.
spirituality should be my motivation of why I'm trying to balance all of these
Right.
things. Especially spirituality is about balancing all these things. It's not about extremes.
Right.
It's not about extremes. So self-reflections, I guess, as you say, would be the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at what?
Yourself.
Yes,
Yes.
being concerned about self first.
Right.
What a balanced way,
Oh yeah.
instead of a balanced way of I'm concerned more about you
Yeah.
first.
That's
Mm.
not balancing. That's kind of manipulating somebody to be like you, or to
Mhm.
be like to be what you're comfortable with. But that's not looking at yourself.
Mhm.
That's looking outside. And as we have said in the past, um, don't judge me, or don't point your finger at me. Things like that. When you hear those type of things, you're not being self-reflective.
Yes.
You are being judgmental of sorts.
Exactly. Yeah. Wow, your judgmental is like really, how can I say it? Judging like.
You're judgy.
I couldn't help you. Go ahead.
Yes. Start with contemplation. If you're in a relationship now,
Mhm.
or are hoping to find the person with whom you want to build a spiritual connection. And there's certain questions you need to ask yourself, if this is the case. And it starts with, what are your beliefs?
Okay.
And that's probably one of those things. Generally, when somebody looks at their beliefs, they start with church.
Mm-hmm.
They start with religion.
Religion, yes.
Yes. And so, and they talk about their religious beliefs. But, it goes.
And that could be a showstopper for some
Yes.
relationships.
Yes.
If I don't have the same religious beliefs, then it's going to be very hard for us to be able to operate as a healthy relationship, because the way I believe we should live,
Mm-hmm.
eat, see, think about things in life could be somewhat different, or some people say skewed, because we may not have the same belief system. I
Right.
think some people use this old biblical saying, how can we walk together unless we
We-
agree?
Yeah.
an equally yoked thing they talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So I can understand that on the religious side, which has to do with again what we talked about, that if we're not on the same religion, sometimes it could be very hard to relate in a balanced, healthy way. Though
Right.
it can be done if we look at some common denominators in that. But no doubt about it, your beliefs are very important. And
Yes.
that's one thing many times in a relationship when we start, we don't usually start in a relationship talking about that. We may talk about how good our body looks, your body looks, what are you eating, where you work, a little bit of like that, a
Mm-hmm.
little bit like that, that is.
Yeah.
But we won't get into our beliefs. In fact, many times we figure when it comes to belief system, you believe what you want to believe, I believe what I want to believe,
Yes.
and we ain't never going to talk about that. It's our
Yes.
personal thing. I got my
Yes.
personal God, you got your personal God, and someplace
Yes.
we may cross each other.
Exactly. Uh, your beliefs can also be dealing with the type of relationship you have. One may see family as um, having just two people being together and forming that connection and forming that entity, being a family. And somebody else may say, well, it's not a family until there are children in it. Or they may
Yeah.
say, or they may say, um, they may have other beliefs like um, money is very important and
Mm-hmm.
climbing the corporate ladder is the most important thing to me. And the other person may say, well, I, money is important, but it's only important as much as to support me in a basic living. And so those are belief systems that you need to understand. It's dealing with finances, dealing with all kinds of different aspects of
Mm-hmm.
what you believe is acceptable, or what things would be showstoppers for you.
Exactly. So let's move on. Attentions and desire. What are the important things to you? What practices do you have that keep you connected to it? So intentions and desires are important. I mean, I've
Hmm.
seen and give that example about how this is a geographical one, but still intentions and desire.
Right.
Where a gentleman used to write for the Taking the Journey magazine we had years ago, and he lived someplace in New York, up in New York. He was dating a young lady down in the Bronx of New York, and once in a while her son would come visit him up in New York, and he would let their son go out and play and enjoy himself. Where when he went back to her house in the Bronx someplace, she would not let him go out and play. It
Hmm.
really bothered her and the young boy because he couldn't get out and play, and bothered her that he wanted to go out and play and felt like there was a conflict, in this case intentions or differences, because
Yes.
she had to deal with the fact that he wanted to go out and play and the anxiety and all the other probably arguments that came out of it,
Hmm.
and she knew it came from the connection to him, the boyfriend.
Yeah.
So their intentions were different. His intention was, I live in a neighborhood, it's not bad. That young man needs to get out and play. He needs to enjoy himself. She was like, I live in the Bronx in New York. You just don't
And
let
the
no young
area is
person
not that
play.
great.
Exactly. So there's a tension. That's just an example.
Hmm.
Attention sometimes and desires can be different in relationships.
Yes.
And we need to be concerned about those when it comes to, again, a healthy and a thriving relationship. Those things you must be concerned about, and those
Hmm.
things you want to talk about,
Yes.
and find some agreement and find some compromise. Or it may be something that you can't cross bridge and you have to move on, because those are important things in
Hmm.
that relationship, or at
Yes.
least a relationship that's trying to bring some balance. Know that if you're in a relationship right now and you're finding that even right now, we're not saying you should break up, leave each other, but you want to talk about it. You
Yes.
want to find some ways to compromise. You want to find some way where both of your intentions become mutual in that relationship, or at least you want to make an attempt to try
Hmm.
to be mutual, because that's your
Right.
intention, is trying to find your intentions in this relationship is to try to find a real balance. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And then, as we have mentioned just a minute ago, that when it comes to your beliefs, a lot of people stop at religion, and then from that standpoint, it's what's uh, your belief, your religion or spirituality beliefs, and
Mm-hmm.
what does it mean to you, and why is it important to you? And then going from there, do you practice daily prayer, devotion, meditation? These things deal with spirituality. Do you have spirituality, believe in spirituality or higher consciousness? You have to have these kind of conversations and understandings with yourself in order to have these conversations that are meaningful and in depth and will bring you close.
Thank you for bringing that back because I was
Hmm.
referring to having that conversation with your partner or your mate
Yeah.
or that girlfriend or boyfriend or that you're trying to move to
Hmm.
in a relationship and hopefully a balanced relationship. But I like the fact that you're bringing it back since we're talking from a spiritual point of view. The basis right now is starting with you. So
Yes.
you need to have that conversation with you before you think about having that conversation with the other part. But
Hmm.
make no mistake, you need to be having that conversation with that other person
Exactly.
if you're trying to look for that higher kind of a relationship
Right.
because you want to know if they feel the same way too. You want to
Hmm.
know if they ask the same questions within their own self,
Right.
if they have came with some answers or conclusion. Maybe they haven't, but one thing is for sure, if you both are hot about it, for
Hot.
you for the first time, you're saying,
Hot.
what does he mean by hot, Sharon? What are we talking about when we say hot?
Hot is honest, open, and transparent.
That's right. Are you being hot, honest, open, and transparent? That's something that we teach about as also certified counselors, relationship counselors, and we'll
Coaches.
excuse me. We'll be having, I'm pretty sure we'll be having an event that we're going to be having here in this area and someplace else. Want you to come, want you to be part of it. You learn a little bit more about the hot principle.
Yes.
But one thing is for sure, if that other person is honest, open, and transparent, you want to know if what their intentions are,
Exactly.
and they have those same kind of
Exactly.
intentions, the same kind of concerns as you have, which would make it a very balanced relationship or
Mhm.
healthy relationship, or what we call building a spiritual connection with your partner.
Absolutely.
Practice some daily prayers, devotion, and meditation. Boy, when it comes to prayer, devotion, and meditation, most people say, hands off, none of your business.
Yeah.
I ain't even thinking about it.
It's my business. I take care of it the way I take care of it. But if that's one of your belief systems, that's something you need to think about too.
Yeah, think about
And
how
understand why.
it took a while because you came out of a traditional kind of conservative Baptist background. I being in every kind of religious church you can think of, and I was moving more in that spiritual kind of belief system,
Mhm.
ideology, whatever you may want to call it. And you basically were moving in a direction of trying to, how can I say it, investigate in curiosity of finding out that there must be more to life than that traditional religion. Am I correct?
Correct.
And so we ran into each other. We had to kind of, at the beginning, really find a place of mutuality in it because it
Yes.
was a little of a conflict. No doubt it because of the fact that you were already moving in the direction to try to find out more than the religious walls of a church
Mhm.
and wanting to find out more, in this case, more of who you are and connection to the world, a connection to the universe.
Yes. And,
Then-
and from that point, I was doing a lot of self-reflection.
Exactly.
Also.
So it made it
Yes.
kind of easy for us to find a mutual connection.
Yes.
Because I've been there, done that, but I was moving in a more expansive way.
Mhm.
So it made it easy for you to take my hand and me to take your hand. And we've been taking that kind of
Yes.
direction in that kind of way as we go on to Love Land. Who did that? Float on.
Floaters.
Float on,
I
float
think that's
on.
what they were
I guess
called.
we're
I'm not
floating.
really sure. But anyway.
But anyway, I think, in fact, I know that when it comes to devotion and meditation prayer, that's important in your relationship.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That one person should be open to allow that to happen and feel comfortable with it. But it's even better, or say more balanced, if both of you are on the same page.
Yes.
Not only beginning, but even in your relationship, you could find a place to find a mutual place where you both are trying to communicate together with devotion, with meditation, and prayer. I think some people say those who meditate, devote, or pray together have a better relationship. I believe that too.
Yes.
When that is something that you try to practice.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
Definitely. Are we near a commercial?
I was just about to say, before we go into the next way to build a spiritual connection with your partner, maybe this is a perfect time for us to move into our commercial stage.
A commercial stage? I
Yes.
think it will be. And let's go to our first commercial.
Okay.
We'll be right back. And we're back. We are.
and
I guarantee you. Look at see.
and he's still busy. But that's always the way it is. But that's okay.
It ain't always.
Before, well, no, because when you're engineering, there's always something else that has
Yeah,
to be
you're right.
done.
You're right.
And so, but before we get started again, I think we need to talk about where we can be seen. Not
Ah,
only can we be seen here on Thursday evenings at 6 o'clock,
okay.
but we can also be seen.
Oh, that's the hot button. I'm sorry. There you
But we
go.
can also be seen or heard
Mm-hmm.
on WRUU, uh, which is a local radio station. But you can go online to wwru.org.
That was about taking the journey itself. You missed that. What are you doing?
Hmm?
Oh, it's
No.
me. It's
Yeah.
mine. Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind.
uh, well, it's showing right down at the bottom,
Exactly.
but if you're local, or you can hear it live, and I don't know, maybe you can hear it live on wruu.org also at 9 a.m. on Saturday mornings. We're there from 9 to
Yeah, yeah. Of
10.
course, online you can. Of course,
Yes.
you're in. If you're in Savannah, you can also get that 107.5. Okay, let's talk about taking the journey. How you can actually go and get to us online itself by going to taking the journey dash taking together.com and our email address ttjt at taking the journey dash together.com. For some reason, every time I have to get to that together, you usually have to straighten me up. That,
Yes.
folks, it ain't because I don't think I don't think I don't. Okay, we need to be together.
Definitely.
Uh,
Definitely. Okay,
mhm.
so we're gonna try this again.
Okay,
Uh,
you gonna
the
try this time?
website is takingthejourney-together.com.
Mm-hmm.
The email address is ttjt at takingthejourney-together.com.
Oh, thank
And
you.
our Facebook page is facebook.com/ttj together.
Look at
And we
folks.
also have Instagram, which is instagram.com/taking the journey. No, excuse me, taking the J together slash. Hey,
Oh, you still got it
that
together.
that messed me up
You still
every
got
time.
it
That one
together.
gets
You
me.
still got it together. You know, such things perfect, but you got to get it better than what I did, Maynard. What's this one?
I don't know.
Yeah, what's
What
this
is
one?
that?
That is,
That's the
um,
same thing.
you. Well, is that the same thing you just
Yes, it
went to?
is.
Instagram.
Yes, it is.
It talked about an Instagram
Yes,
count
it
and
is.
all that
Because
stuff.
remember, that's where I messed up.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yes.
Good. 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 Well, let's go back to our
Okay,
show.
let's do.
Mm-hmm.
And we are going to go into having meaningful conversations. Now, see, once you reflect on yourself and you know where you are,
Mm-hmm.
then you have a better idea or a better opportunity to
Mm-hmm.
speak freely and to be honest, open, and transparent. Because sometimes you're not honest, open, and transparent because you don't know yourself,
Exactly.
and so then you get to the point that you can have meaningful conversations. Have a meaningful conversation with the person you are in a relationship with,
Mm-hmm.
asking him or her the
About
same
spirituality
questions.
and
Yes,
higher consciousness,
exactly.
and that's why we said that the balance in thriving relationship is a leveling up because then you're not afraid whatsoever to open about spirituality and higher
Mm-hmm.
consciousness.
Yeah.
You might have had an experience where you might have saw something that was spiritual. You might have saw a ghost, in so many words, or you might have saw an ancestor in the past,
Mm-hmm.
or you might have saw a shadow in on the side of your head. You might have some kind of spiritual experience. You never wanted to talk to anybody else because of the fact that you were afraid to. We're in a balanced relationship, in a thriving relationship. You are open to talk about anything because
Yes.
that's your friend. And in turn, your friend means you should be able to be open about it, and they won't make you feel like you're crazy or something wrong with you. There could be something significant about your conversation that really could be a healing or a help. Healing would be a help to you
Mm-hmm.
that you needed someone on the outside to give you, as you used to say to me many times before, putting it all into perspective for you.
Yes.
Because sometimes putting all perspective doesn't mean something you can do. You
Exactly.
need someone else. In fact, most of the time, putting it in this perspective means someone else has to give you some input that you can't see
Yes.
for yourself because maybe you're too much in the box
Right.
and not outside of the
And
box.
other people, especially someone that you're close to or that you're
Hmm.
in a relationship with, they have a different perspective that they bring to the table because of their experiences.
Hmm.
And sometimes in those situations too, when you talk about things that experiences that you've had in asking these questions and whatnot, it may make things a lot closer because all of a sudden your partner may realize,
Hmm.
I'm not alone. I've experienced that too, and I thought I was the only one.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly. Doesn't mean they have the same exact thoughts. Like in this case, I saw a orange talking to me, and I don't know why. When I really wanted to listen to an apple, and you turn around and go, "Oh, but it was a banana for me,
yeah,
and
yes,
instead it was that great."
yeah,
So
and it
I'm
was,
being silly. I'm
and
being
it was
stupid, but
dancing across the
exactly. But
table.
I'm trying to make a point. It may
Yes.
not be the exact conversation,
Hmm.
but the
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 experiences are
experience behind
similar
it are
enough.
very similar.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So there's enough similarity that basically you two can be working on being on what, the same page. Many
Yes.
relationship people are not on the same page,
No, and they're not willing to
and
try to get on the
and
same
what
page.
happens when tragedy comes because they're on the same page, the relationship just totally falls apart.
Because they're not on the same page.
Exactly. That's
Yes.
that's what I meant. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So, dear folks, you need to have some daily spiritual practice. We're talking about
Yes.
spirituality in the first place.
Yes.
Many couples begin their end their days with practice of meditation.
Hmm.
We do that.
Yes.
We have our meditation we do before our day. We call part of our meditation what?
Resonation.
So we can resonate, and
Hmm.
resonate is what is the meaning of resonate?
Getting on the same page in a nutshell.
Exactly. So
Yes.
we have a special spiritual kind of what do you
We
call it?
use a singing bowl to help
No, I was
us.
talking about the saying, but not
Oh,
just the
oh,
that.
okay. We use
That's what I
certain,
thought.
we use certain words that will get us through the
Yeah,
day.
wise words of
Wise,
affirmation. That was what I was
yes.
trying to say.
That was
Got
the
you.
word I couldn't come up
I
with, the
know.
affirmation word. So I
we
was writing
that's
all around, the road,
exactly.
going
So
in circles.
now we can be on the same page. We use
Exactly.
words of affirmation to put us on the same page. And yes, we use what we call a singing bowl.
Hmm.
People know about it. We're talking more about it
Yeah.
to help bring in a frequency because we're all about frequencies because
Hmm.
we really are frequencies. We are in motion at all times,
Yes.
whether they know it or not. So we use that to get on the same page through frequency. And then we begin our day together on that same
Yes.
frequency and kind of move from there. And then we want to make sure at the end of the day, we end our day with a frequency too,
Hmm.
or the ending of a
Yes.
frequency of our day. Very, very
Yes.
important
And
to
words
practice
take
that.
us through the night.
If you want to take that, and if you're looking at a spiritual, or in this case, a thriving, balanced relationship, then these are the things that were given to you that you can implement in your relationship.
Hmm.
When you enter into a different state of consciousness together, that's what we're
Hmm.
talking about.
Yes.
It becomes very sacred and a very special practice.
Yes.
Even if it's just talking a little bit more out of your day, still with one another.
Right.
We are talking about trying to make your conversation. We're trying to, in turn, you talk about using techniques to
Hmm.
make your mind thoughts or
Yes.
consciousness to be at a conscious level
Hmm.
between both of us,
Right.
not just with yourself, but between both of us.
And exactly. And the thing with that
Mm-hmm.
is that you and your partner can create your own. I can't talk anymore.
That's right.
Your own rituals that
Mm-hmm.
work for you, that mean a lot to you, that have a special meaning where you're concerned. We just mentioned one that works for us, but there's so many other possibilities. And based on where you're coming from, the possibilities are endless, but it's
Exactly.
bringing that connection.
What's the next one besides creating time for regular intimacy? Ooh,
Ah,
another important, very relevant practice, the
hmm.
act of intimate
Intimate
connection.
connection.
Establishing and maintaining intimacy in your relationship, and that it actually enables a bridge the gap between physical and spiritual realm. That's right. You got to bridge in a healthy, balanced, thriving relationship or spiritual relationship, in so many words. You
Hmm.
got to balance that between physical and spiritual realms. We got to practice our awareness and attentions and a reverence. An act of being physically intimate has the potential to unfold higher spiritual experiences in our life. That's why that intimacy. Now, we're not talking about just the physical intimacy,
Yes.
though
Yes.
there is spiritual connections that come out of it. Some people look at it called soul ties. That's why it's important who you have an intimate or sexual relationship with, because soul ties can be built. But we are talking about having a serious or a sacred relationship between one another on the intimate side that has to do with our spiritual realm, Are we connecting to one another with the intentions of this is not just to have the pleasure sexually?
Right.
And that's it. That's all we're doing that for.
Mm-hmm.
There is a technique that you can use where your intimacy and your connection will bring reverence to it. So it's not just a physical connection where I'm gonna get mine, she gonna get hers. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
I'm gonna get my time when I get a what's the word I want to use? I want to say nut, but it's another
Well,
word.
you just did.
Oh yeah, she just get hers. Or Bernie Mac said, "I got mine. You better catch up. If not,
I
you got
got.
a problem."
He used to say, "I got a good 3 minutes for you."
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. We are talking about. There's a technique you can use that's called what?
Tantra.
Tantra. It's a technique. You can look it up. And that basically has to do with having closeness without exactly
Yeah,
touching,
it's
but allowing the energy
yes,
of you two
the
as a
energy flow.
being to flow between one another,
Mm-hmm.
and you get another ecstasy. You get another connection that is beyond just the sexual connection.
Mm-hmm.
That's a spiritual thing you have to experiment for yourself or learn for yourself or actually have experience for yourself. I think a
Yes.
lot of us kind of can remember some of that experience when it comes to what's a good example real quickly that you can think of.
Um. mm,
Mm,
Um. It's
mm.
it's been a long time.
I can think of one where the mother can have a ultimate experience of excitement and enlightenment when they find their daughter or their son actually um, wins or accomplishes a goal that they've always wanted. And that child may be on TV, that child may be on the radio, they may see that child on the internet, and that excitement that they
Yes.
get kind of flows into them and
Mm-hmm.
they feel like a nirvana experience.
Yes.
That's what we're referring to. That's right, folks. I didn't say that. What's it again?
Tantra.
Tantra meant that you were going to have that physical sexual excitement
Mm-hmm.
or feeling you have. The nirvana or that higher energy has everything to do with you feeling a place of bliss or a place of happiness or a place of excitement that you would have when it comes to someone having a dream come true, something that's intangible come true, something that has nothing really to do with a physical connection, but you are actually able to enter into it, connect with it, and you get that exact feeling that they have
Right.
at the same time.
Yeah.
That is a spiritual connection that you should have and look at in a thriving, balanced relationship. That's the level you want to work to in that relationship, in that kind of thriving relationship. What's your
Absolutely.
thoughts on that?
I definitely agree with that. I remember, and it's not just with my children. I remember
Mm.
always being excited when something happened for somebody else,
Yeah, I like that.
and if they were close to me, and we would just share in that whenever something happens. And like with my daughter, for example,
Mm-hmm.
every time I see one of her new paintings, I have this sense of it's just a good feeling that goes over me that she has taken her talent to the point that
You know
she
what comes to
has.
me? What comes to me is having a feeling of actual oneness with that person.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that the sexual physical experience definitely gives you a feeling of oneness
Yes.
with your mate, no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it does. If
Yeah.
not, that's not definitely not a
Yes.
thriving, healthy relationship
Right.
whatsoever. But we're talking about feeling that oneness in the
Mm-hmm.
universe connecting to that other
Yes.
particular individual.
Yes.
Because we are, as some people say, nothing but the stardust of the universe.
Exactly.
So we're talking about actually being able to connect your very being, your very energy
Yeah.
with someone in such a way where it's not just a physical connection.
Right.
Having that kind of experience is something that you really should look forward to or look at trying in a healthy, balanced
Yeah.
spiritual relationship, you
It's
know?
like it's like when I see you with a problem where you're trying to figure out something. You're always trying to figure out something that is electronic or electronically
Yeah,
related,
and been shocked
or
many times too.
or when
Oh,
you're
talk about oneness.
yes, or when you're tinkering with something. You're a
Mm-hmm.
tinkerer, and you have this big problem that you're dealing with. I always, and I know I'm not the best of cheerleaders,
Mm-hmm.
and not a good one at all, but I do get this great feeling when you get whatever it is that you're working on, when you find that answer and you find that response, I have this sense of excitement inside me that sometimes feels like it's bigger than your sense of excitement from it,
Mm-hmm.
because it's a part of me says I knew you were going to get it,
Mm-hmm.
and it just feels really good to
So
actually see
you
that
actually
accomplishment.
capture that energy that's being
Yes.
created there, and
Hmm.
then turns induced into you.
Yes.
That kind of transformation, because energy never ever could be destroyed. It only is transduced, or in this case, it go moves from one energy to a oh, excuse me, from
Entity.
one entity to another entity.
Yes.
From that end, it's really not entity; it's another word, but I'll get it in a minute. But anyway, let's move on to another because we want to try to finish this up.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's see. Identify the primary intention
Yes,
of the
that's where we're at. Okay,
relationship.
identify. How do you identify? Two people come together, relation itself comes to a what?
Becomes the
The
third
third
entity.
entity. Wow.
Ooh.
I kind of thought about that.
So it's me, it's you,
And
and
then
it's
us,
us.
that third energy.
Yes.
Entity. What's that movie we can suggest people to watch that really brings that into focus? That movie that was done with the oh, what was it called? Matt Dillon. Yeah, Matt Dillon played that
Um,
with another young lady, and it was called Predestined. I think it was called Predestined. I'm not right because I know it starts with pre. I can
I
look it up.
don't
But it's
remember.
about these two individual couples
Two
who
individuals.
individuals
Yeah.
who were actually designed to meet
Hmm.
by these angels or by God or whatever you may want to call it. It was an African American guy who played angel, and later on he was godly like, but it was real funny. But they met each other by accident,
And they weren't
and
supposed
they
to be
weren't
together.
supposed to. And
Yes.
then they, from there, begin to create their own destiny, their own purpose, their own way of life
Hmm.
together as an
Yes.
us. And
Yes.
they went through the jargon of let's say the angels and others who set things in predestined moments,
Yes, sir.
basically said this was not supposed to be, and they did the
Yes.
best to make sure that they would never come together in life, and broke it up in so many words
Several
several
times.
times. But at the end, they finally came back together. And during these times, these angels would look at this piece of paper like a map of someone's life and look to see if the lines were interfacing together and
Hmm.
moving in the same direction. And they found out at the end, where they thought they had the destinations opposite, that somehow the destination started brand new from that point and moved on
Yes.
as an us. I was reminded how sometime before there was this psychic guy that came on, and one of the things that he's good at is he's good at actually talking about the births of relationships. He looked at relationships as being a spiritual birth where two people, two energies came together and they became an
Uh-huh.
us. And
Yes.
that was the birth of a third entity
Hmm.
called us. And from there, he would give his psychic input, if you may want to say, if you believe it or not, on that us
Right.
entity. So what was unique about it was I never heard anybody else talk about something like that when it comes to
Right.
spirituality, except for the signs and the
Hmm.
moons and numerology.
Right.
I've never heard of anyone talk about a relationship being birthed as a third entity, and it was called a us, and that there was a purpose and a path for that
Hmm.
us.
Yes.
Yet a spiritual, thriving, balanced relationship is all about that. It's all about us creating something for us. And then from there, expanding that in this world to touch others outside of ourselves, spiritually wise. Isn't
Yes.
that something?
Yes. And that was always fascinating to me when, after you talked to him and you told me about it, I was like, oh, wow, that's, and then it took me to the point of going back and, uh, pinpointing the day that we actually, um, came together in a lasting point, not the day that we met, although that was
Mm-hmm.
an amazing day, but the day that we actually came together and spent the day together
Mm-hmm.
and never stopped talking after that. Never missed a day talking. So I try to go back and remember
To
that day
identify
as
attention in the relationship,
yes.
focus on the direction, whether it's for children,
Hmm.
work, life obligations, Don't forget your nurturing of yourself. But
Yes.
we have always tried to stay on a purpose and try. In fact, this very show has came to pass because of our purpose in path in life
Mm-hmm.
on wanting to create this.
Yes.
I, out of one, doing it before you as
Mm-hmm.
a writer, and then you coming on board as a writer, looking at relationships in such a way as a single woman coming out of a bad relationship, marriage for over 30 some years, right?
Right.
Saying that there is something more in life for me to be able to have as an African American lady, and at the same time be able to relate my life with someone else
Yes.
and turned me on the same time thinking the same thing coming out of a 16-year marriage, thinking there is in life, there is a possibility for me to relate to some other African American woman, and at the same time feel that there's a possibility that there exists someone in this life like that I can have a true friendship with. And that purpose brought us together, and that's another story we could talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And out of that became the Taking the Journey show itself,
Yes.
and how many people that we have touched
Yeah.
because of the fact that on that healthy, balanced relationship side, we
Mm-hmm.
decided to say, this is our purpose.
Yes.
This is one of our purpose
And
and move in it.
I think it's kind of interesting the fact that even though you had thought about taking the journey together before we got together, when we got together, it was just taking the journey. And then once we started the path with the two of us, you went back to the taking the journey together, and the taking the journey together has continued and manifest in a way where we have
You mean the together
mhm,
became into existence
exactly.
together?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing wrong with taking the journey by yourself in life, no doubt about it. It's a
Right.
journey. Make sure it's a venture. But when you take that journey with someone else who you want to make that journey of life,
Hmm.
and you choose to make that intent, then it becomes a truly together, a true unity. Okay,
Yes.
let's move on. I don't know if we're going to finish all this today. We got only not too much, 5 minutes left. What's our next one?
Well, after that, we were going to go into some strategies for intimacy.
Okay, let's go into some strategies.
Okay.
Seek first to understand.
Yes.
Though it's not your fault, if no one taught you about all this good stuff to be a good
Hmm.
listener, important skills to develop, if you wish to foster a healthy relationship, know that you can gain that. Google, excuse me, Google it. No, Google it and find out that yourself. You can go back to our past archives, and you can
Mhm.
find about we talked about how to be a good listener. Number one, being a good listener is for you not to talk and let someone else talk. Okay,
Zip it, in other words.
exactly. What's another one, Sharon? Real quick.
Demonstrate concern and understanding.
Yes.
It's one thing to demonstrate your interest and concern by offering our undivided attention with body language, which means eye contact, nodding head, leaning in, verbal affirmations, which are appropriately placed, and I see, and or wow, and curiosity, you're okay, or tell me more. It's another to demonstrate that you heard accurately, i.e., telling you the complete story. Communicating understanding should also include emotional content,
Mm-hmm.
which is an emotional topic. If they state their feelings, include that in your reflective listening summary.
Mm-hmm.
And you stated that this makes you feel vulnerable and uncomfortable.
Practice empathy. Oftentimes, the speaker does not share their feelings. Though you might imagine how you're feeling is a certain situation called sympathy. Imagine how that might be feeling on what they need. Empathy means that you can possibly be supportive in a very real way when it comes to manners. When someone is struggling, stating that you can imagine now how it must feel, then that's a one-way expression. I'm gonna give this real quickly, because I've heard sometimes in a relationship, some sisters have told me, "You can never know how much I deeply love you." What's the word it says? I love you so deeply, you don't know
Yeah,
what is
you'll
it.
never know how much
It's
I
I love you, and
Okay.
you have to say this to yourself. And when we're looking at this now, there is no way in a thriving, balanced relationship that's spiritual that other person would ever speak that, because they would want to know just how deeply that in turn they love you, and you would want to know how deeply they love you,
Yes.
and in turn want them to know how deep you love you
Exactly.
at the same time too.
And,
So
another
yeah,
way of saying that is, I
mhm,
love you so much. Well, what is so, and how is that measured?
exactly. And maybe it should be, I love your soul, and what is it about your soul that you love, and so on and so
Exactly.
forth. So we have to make sure that we practice empathy. Our emotions need to be in there. We need to make sure that we in turn control it too at the same time. But an empathetic listener must be careful to avoid confusing others. Okay, emotions with their own. Check in to make sure that you're reading that your own feelings and that your own feelings are correctly. Sometimes you may have to sit your feelings aside to listen to
Mm-hmm.
the other particular person.
Yes.
But though it's not always natural to be empathetic, especially in this world, which is now very self-centered,
Self-centered. Mm-hmm.
narcissistic, it is still the best way to choose to act when it comes to a balanced, thriving
Yes.
relationship. Example, say, I believe I would feel outraged by that. How do you feel? Or your facial expressions may make people think that you're feeling frustrated. Did I get that right? These are examples that we need to
Mm-hmm.
talk to one another to keep our conversation and communication open. Keep going. We only got about a couple of minutes and we're going to cut off.
Do we have that much? Okay.
No, I guess we don't. So we're going to have to come back and finish this app. Hopefully, we'll
Yes.
come back with Dr. Frazier to help us out and tell some of the sides that have to do with this psychological world,
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
subconscious and consciousness, what
Mm-hmm.
we've talked about more and help us out. But until then, we want everyone to what, Sharon?
Keep taking the journey together.
Amen.
And we'll see you next week.
Amen. Ashe. Be at peace.
Like that. 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 Like that.